doesn't mean shit to me. Give me the paper.
When you come out?
Before.
I told you I wasn't a fool, Plissken.
Call me Snake.
Kurt Russell has sort of enjoyed a bit of a comeback in the most recent years. His hiatus from films for the best part of a decade or so recently came to an end as he appeared in a string of high-budget films such as The Hateful Eight, the Fast and Furious franchise, and soon to be The Guardians of the Galaxy 2. He appeared in the odd film here and there since the early 2000s, but the numbers were nothing compared to his prime days in the 80s and 90s. And after seeing one of my first ever action heroes back in the spotlight, I thought I would revisit the cult classic from where I saw him first. And that would be Escape from New York. One of the films that made Kurt Russell famous, and a film that holds up surprisingly well to this day. This action sci-fi film is a rescue mission as Snake Plissken, a former war hero, now a disgraced convict, is given a chance at a new slate if he can succeed in his task. But it won't be easy. It's 1988. The crime in the US has risen by over 400%, to the point where now the once city of New York at Manhattan Island has become the one and only maximum security prison for the entire country. A 50-foot wall surrounds the place, with outposts stationed at key points. But inside, there are no guards, just the criminals and the world that they have built. And you guessed it, that's exactly where Air Force One and the President happen to go down in. Snake must infiltrate the city, find the President, and bring him back before the timer expires. It's a simple story, and John Carpenter is able to emphasise the savage and harsh world that lies within the city's walls. It's almost apocalyptic as such. It definitely looks and feels that way a lot of the time. And just to think, this film had around a $6 million budget at the time. Nothing compared to these days. Some individual television episodes sometimes cost more. So to have a broken down city housing the world's worst to this extent, the effects and production team did an incredible job with what they had. Now Snake was sent into the city by Hawk, another former soldier who now works control around the perimeter. There was a catch with him though. He was aware of Snake's past and on alert if Snake tried to escape, so he ensured some safety measures were put into place. If Snake was to run, hide, forget the mission entirely, or fail to complete the mission before time was up, the capsules that were injected into Snake's neck would cause an extremely small explosion, just big enough to open up both of his arteries. So Snake had to have that in the back of his mind as well. There was no running, he must succeed. And he gets a pretty quick idea of the dangers involved in the mission, as no sooner as he arrived in the half-destroyed city that he has to defend himself against ambushes, cannibals, crazies, and be wary of what could lurk around any corner. He ran into Cabby, who took him to former colleague Brain, a couple of characters that weren't trying to kill him, as he looked for any indication of the President's whereabouts. But in this city would be only one person that would have dared take him. And he was number one.
Yeah, number one! You're the Duke! You're the Duke!
So yeah, the Duke. So if Snake wanted to complete his mission and live beyond the clock, he would have to contend with the Duke and all of his followers. The movie moves quickly from scene to scene, which fits neatly alongside Snake's timer, as he cannot afford to waste any possible time. The final 15 minutes of the film is perhaps its best part. The ending personifies the Snake character. His defiance and his own code of conduct are what he is governed by. And in fairness, when he was questioning the President about all the lives lost in the rescue mission, he was very distant and uncaring, more concerned with his upcoming press conference. So if he actually showed feeling or regret, perhaps Snake would have given him the right tape. But since he didn't, he walked off to destroy that one piece of information that was dear to the world's future. My overall verdict for Escape from New York is around about a 7 or an 8. So I'm going to edge it and give it an 8 out of 10. It's a cult classic. The performances, set designs and overall dark tone of the film feel right on point. Kurt Russell is the man, and with this performance it gave us a character that would live on through the ages. Snake Plissken is iconic, so much to the point that newer generations who may have never seen the film before won't even realise that possibly one of their favourite game characters was inspired from him. The homage that the Metal Gear Solid franchise has paid to Snake was open and obvious. Snake is just a badass. His eye patch, rough appearance and lone wolf demeanour are what makes him such a likeable character, even if he is an anti-hero. My favourite part of the film is the final 15 minutes or so, as Snake and his group try to escape the confinements of New York. Aside from that, just generally when Snake is scaling through this landscape with potential threats around the next corner, it's gripping and has every bit of your attention. The old retro-style electronic-y music must have been groundbreaking at its time in the industry. There are so many tracks that play throughout the film that just stick right in your head, so it hurts even more so to learn that this film is getting a remake. It's just unforgivable. It's atrocious. It will flop, pretty much guaranteed. If it doesn't, I will eat my words, but just look at the recent history and others that tried to do the same. This film was successful because of Kurt Russell and John Carpenter. Both of them who I imagine will have nothing to do with a potential reboot. Already it's not looking so good. The most recent reboot that fell flat on its face was Point Break that I can think of in my head. So my advice to those looking to produce the new Escape from New York: quit now please, just save yourself the trouble. Now normally I find 2 hours or very close to it is the acceptable minimum amount for a film's length. But because this film released in 1981, I can forgive the length of the film for being just over 90 minutes. Kurt Russell and John Carpenter would team together many more times over the coming years, both of them bringing some more classics to the table. They clearly work well and understand one another, and the Snake Plissken character will be remembered for years to come. Next up, it's the sequel, Escape from LA. Wonder how that one fared. I wonder if it was good as this one. Now if you're yet to see this classic, what are you doing? Go watch it now. And for those who have seen it, do you agree with me that it is one of the cult classics of its generation? Let me know down in the comments. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed the review. And I'll see you on the next one.
You gonna kill me now, Snake?
I'm too tired. Maybe